Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I'm so excited to be here with Elaine Ryan. I have known about her for a long time. I believe we had her music on Women of Substance years ago, probably multiple times. But I was looking and seeing, she's been doing this for over 15 years. Women of Substance has actually been around longer than that, so it's kind of crazy how time passes. But she is an artist. She also is a sync agent, which I'm really excited for us to be talking about. She does some really cool things with charities and sync, so I want to get into that. And she also has a new book out, which is awesome. So there's so much to talk about. But let's start, Elaine, with your background. Like we want to get to know you. How did you get to where you are today as far as your music career and then wanting to help other musicians?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was born in Ireland, and my family immigrated to Canada when I was 5. Grew up in Vancouver, BC. Um, wasn't actually like always loved singing, kind of grew up constantly singing, did choir, all that, learned guitar as a teenager. And then just kind of went down the university path. I studied international relations and political science and was really into kind of like, I want to save the world stuff. And then, like kind of had a change of heart. I got into law school and I had been working at a legal nonprofit and just seeing how stressed all the lawyers were. And then at the same time, having song ideas and wanting to pursue that. And I just sort of took the leap and decided to follow the dream instead and yeah, started writing songs and recording albums and kind of setting up my own tours. And I think maybe at that time I connected with you over the Dream. I Have a Dream project. Is that right? Am I
No, that wasn't me, but it sounds like something I
okay?
would do.
Okay, so yeah, there was like a compilation album, a Martin Luther King
Ah.
tribute. Um, yeah, and then eventually I moved to Hawaii for several years. My then boyfriend, now husband, was there, and I worked kind of like 4 nights a week. I was gigging at the hotels and the resorts and cranking out a lot of playing a lot of songs, writing a lot of songs. Um, yeah, and then eventually came back to California to work on like a music discovery website that I had started, and that kind of got wrapped up during the pandemic. It was like a online event thing, and I donated it back to a radio station on Maui that still uses it for their event calendar, which was kind of cool that that's still going on. And then yeah, I don't know if I should keep going or that's sort of like
Well, yeah, okay, I want to jump into the sync stuff for sure, but I want to go back a little bit to be like, what made you, I totally get where we get to that point where we think we know our path, we see what other people are experiencing, and, we luckily are able to get into that, right? And go like, maybe this is not what I want. Maybe I don't want to be a lawyer, even though I still, really believe in these causes. But we find, we can maybe get to those causes another way through music or other things. But what made you feel like you could take that leap into music and think that you are going to be able to make a living?
I think it was probably being 20 years old and having no idea how the world worked.
Ah.
That was the main thing. And also just kind of being a, go for it type of person. Yeah. I
That's
think I,
good. I mean, sometimes we need that in order to take the leap. Sometimes maybe we're a little bit too like rose-colored glasses around that, and then you hit the hard parts and not realizing. I saw someone talking online the other day about sometimes artists need to be a bit delusional to actually have the guts to jump into this. And I think there is some of that, but there's also the like, we still need to know how to pay the bills and all
yeah.
that. And obviously, you did that. You were really working hard as a gigging artist in Hawaii. How did you get into that whole scene?
I just, I was there and I was trying to get, original song gigs. So I would go to the bars and be like, hey, like, could I play a gig here? And I got a couple. but I wasn't feeling like that the people were engaged. People were there on holiday. They just wanted to hear something they knew. And then I met this other singer-songwriter, Sabrina Barron, and she was doing the cover song thing. And I was like, oh, I don't want to play covers, you know. I kind of held out on it for a year um and then, you know, was kind of doing tutoring or other things. And then I just sort of was like, you know what, why don't I just give it a shot? I just had to learn a bunch of songs, you know, because you need like 2 to 3 hours worth of material. And so I started that and it was really good money. Like, you know, people assume that if you're a musician, like you're not getting paid, but it's not true. If you're doing something that is providing a service that the market is demanding, and the market there was demanding live musicians, you know, and I knew a guy who had been um, a plumber and who had stopped doing his plumbing job because he was making more playing like every night as a musician at these hotels, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, you can earn a living if you're in a tourist economy and willing to kind of do the hard work. You know, you kind of have to be committed to showing up, and it's not glamorous and it's not super exciting, but there is a path there to earning money.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. And I'm sure it's, every economy is different in each local area.
Hmm.
And, it's about how many people are there, then, the competition and all that stuff. What about, were you able to like parlay that a little bit into doing more like corporate gigs or nonprofits or things like that? Or do they not have a lot of that in Hawaii?
So there was wedding gigs, a lot of wedding gigs in Hawaii. So kind of parlay it to that. And then there's definitely corporate gigs to be had there, although you have to go through a booking agency. There's kind of like a monopoly or oligopoly on those gigs. There's a few agencies who, you know, they charge super high prices and then kind of farm you out. And so but if you're part of like a party band, there's a whole scene there for that, and you can get paid pretty well. But then when I moved to the Bay Area, that's where I found a lot of corporate gigs. There's a lot going on here.
Oh yeah, I mean with Silicon Valley, San Francisco, like all that, is that those the kind of gigs you're talking about with those kind of tech companies?
Yeah, I'm playing a happy hour today at a tech company.
Nice.
Yeah.
And are you still doing covers or kind of a mix?
For that, it's covers. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I could kind of play whatever I want, but I those gigs are like your background music, and I'm just
Hmm.
not really interested in playing original. I mean, unless I have like a show I'm prepping for that's like my songs that I want to practice my songs for, then I'll do it. But it's just not very rewarding if people don't like pay attention or clap. And if they hear a song they recognize, they're more likely to engage. And if they don't clap for Brown Eyed Girl, I don't really care. You know, like if they don't clap for my song, I feel
Who
like
doesn't clap for Brown Eyed Girl? Everybody does.
you know, but they're just, you know, they're eating their tacos and
Yep. Yep. That's awesome. Do you also do gigs where you are doing your own personal songs?
I do, yeah. I do fewer of those because it's kind of like I need to bring out my crowd for that. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm in my 40s now, and they have kids, and it's not easy to get a whole bunch of people out to your show, but I still do them, and that's
I
good.
get that. I totally get that, especially in that stage of life when you've
Yeah,
got young kids and it is really hard. I mean, it costs so much just to have a babysitter.
right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
when you do your own shows, what kind of venues do you do them in?
So there's a wine bar that I play at down in Castro called
Mm.
Blush. There's a place called the Lost Church in San Francisco. Small little venues. I prefer like a listening room thing. There's a place called Manny's that I would love to do a show at that I'm kind of like looking at. It's kind of a community space that has events. So yeah,
That's cool. Yes, cities and bigger areas like that have fun, niche kind of places like that, which is cool.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the sync side. I want to know how you got into this. Did you first get into sync for your own music and then start kind of like, oh, I can help other artists as well?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I had for a long time known about sync licensing. I think back in like 2012, I was trying to figure out, and I had a friend who was dating a director, and I got one sync placement in a movie very far in the background of the mix, but that kind of was like helped me realize, okay, you can do this and you can make money through that. And I was aware there was this girl, Nat J, in Vancouver who had gotten a bunch of placements on Canadian TV shows. So I was aware of it, but it seemed really obscure, like how you actually get connected and get your songs into sync. It seemed really like there's a lot of gatekeepers, and I have no idea how to approach this. And then in 2019, I found this online course and decided to do the course and um, met a bunch of people through that. You kind of had to pay too much money for it.
Mm,
Uh, but the benefit of that was that, people who are kind of willing to pony up the money have it's kind of a quality control. Like people are
mhm.
self-selecting a little bit. So I met a whole bunch of people through that, was able to co-write a bunch of songs and then learn about sync and get into that, like meet sync agents and get my songs repped, and then got some placements for my tunes that way through other sync agents. And then all that time I was cold emailing music supervisors, researching everything, sending these emails. Oh, I loved this, placement you did here. Here's some of my songs. And it was really hard to get anybody to write back, and I was like, what am I doing wrong here? And um I was trying to think like what's some kind of way that I can do something that will get their attention or that will be of interest to them besides just being like, here's my song. And so I started a nonprofit initiative called Sync Music for a Change. And that's basically a listening session every couple months where we raise money for a different cause each time. It depends on what the music supervisor is interested in fundraising for. And I have a music supervisor on a Zoom call. Um, they decide what cause we're raising money for, and then if you want to submit a song as a musician, you make a donation to, say, the Red Cross or whatever, and then submit the song and the receipt for the donation.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, and then I look through all the song submissions, pick like the 15 songs that I think best fit like the brief that the music supervisor has provided or whatever their general genre that they um, are looking for is. And then we play those songs during the listening session and they give some feedback. And then all of the songs that get submitted get sent, emailed in a playlist to the music supervisor so that they can listen to everything that got submitted. And yeah.
That's such a good idea. I love that you came up with that idea. And how hard was it to sell the music supervisors on this idea?
So for that, it wasn't. So was already friends with one music supervisor in LA, and we had co-written a song together, and she was my first guest.
Mm.
So it was great to get that started. And then once I had the one guest, I could say it was a thing, you know.
Hmm.
And then it was in the middle of the pandemic, and there was that. Remember that app that you kind of was like walkie-talkie, and you were like in these chatty rooms. What was it
Oh,
called?
oh, 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 I know what you mean. Yes.
It had its moment.
A clubhouse.
Yeah, yeah, that.
It definitely had a moment.
Yeah. So I was on Clubhouse and in a music supervision room and t talked about this idea. And then this guy, Andy Ross, was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'd do that." And so then I emailed him and he was my second guest and then somebody else, like it was just sort of like patchwork. And now, people slowly said yes. And um, once you have the website up and you are like, these three people already did it, and we raised money for this, and um, people tended to say yes, like it hasn't been super difficult to get people, because it's a community of people. I mean, a lot of them are in LA and New York, and they already kind of have maybe progressive leaning values, and they want to do something good in the world. Yeah, and so they're keen to help, or they're happy to help at least. And
That's
so,
really smart. And you're doing their job for them a bit because you're curating, right? You're not making them listen to 100 songs if that's
right.
what's submitted.
Yes. That is the labor side of it. The volunteer work on my behalf is listening to the songs and selecting the kind of high quality ones and all that. Yeah.
Yep. And as someone and myself that listens to hundreds of songs a month, it's like people think, oh, that would just be fun. It gets very tedious when you're listening to a lot of songs, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's good work that you're doing. I love it. And so beyond that one thing, well, actually, I want to say, we have done Music with a Conscience on women of substance for years. I think we started
Yeah.
it in 2009,
Yes.
and we'll have just finished that for this year when this comes out. And I just love that you're doing this because I do think music really can be, make a change, like change people's minds. I have experiences myself where listening to a song actually made me rethink my stance on certain things and,
Mhm.
can make me really understand like the plight of people that are going through certain situations.
Yeah, it can be a kind of paradigm shifting thing sometimes, song.
Absolutely. I love it. So beyond this, in your sync company, Unicorn Sync, right? Are there other initiatives that you're doing working with artists?
So no, so that's the like so Sync Music for a Change. I end up signing to Unicorn Sync a bunch of songs from there because it's like a really easy way for me to filter, new people coming
Right.
in like listen, because I got a lot of emails from people being like, "Hey, you're a sync agent, like here's my songs," and I don't have time to
Hmm.
listen to go through a lot of them because I'm trying to pitch songs and connect with music supervisors. So Sync Music for a Change is a great way to like for me to do that. But I started Unicorn Sync through basically because the music supervisors on Sync Music for a Change wanted to be able to clear all the
Hmm.
songs through one person because back when I was saying I wasn't hearing back from the music supervisors, what was going on there is that it's not efficient for them to get music that way from individual musicians
Yep.
because they have so many emails. Like they want to be able to go to one person, a sync agent or a label or a publishing company and say, hey, like this is the specific need I have. Send me all the songs, that reference this lyric that have this tempo. And so they want to be able to clear it all, like get the right clear meaning, get the rights to use the song and the recording in media through one person. And so I started Unicorn Sync with my friend Justina. Um, and then yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, on their part, like either they need to go to a library where they can type something in and find something easily through search, or they need to have some trusted sync agents
Mhm.
that they can just send to. Because you're right. I mean, just the administration of dealing with so many musicians is kind of a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
tricky.
totally get that. Well, let's talk about your book. I'm excited about this book. It's very aligned with the way I think about things in the world. And I also love that it's a little bit woo-woo. It's a little bit about balance, but it's also like and pay the bills. So
Yeah.
tell them the name of the book.
Yeah, so it's this is going to show up backward on the screen, but it's Living a
Yep.
Music-Centered Life, a guide to balance, fulfillment, and paying the bills. And it says break into sync licensing, book well paid gigs, and find a path that works for you. It's really about it's differentiating uh, living a music-centered life from making it in the music business, like becoming famous, or
Hmm.
there's a difference there, and that's like a lot of people can live a music-centered life without moving to Nashville or Los Angeles or New York and, becoming famous or even without touring. There's a lot of different paths, and sync is one of those paths. And, just booking shows locally is one of those paths. And even finding a way to earn a living that allows you the time to be a creative person, like um, starting like training as somebody, a therapist of some kind, or somebody with a trade or a skill that allows you to like have a more flexible schedule and organize your life.
Mm.
Just like different ideas for how you can balance living a music-centered life, like while making music the central focus. Yeah, and I'm trying to. I guess I'm trying to help people find that middle way between, oh, I've become a super famous person. That means I've succeeded. And, oh, I need to quit music because I can't or I'm unlikely to become super famous or haven't become super famous by the time I'm 30 or whatever. Yeah, I'm just trying to show that there's multiple roads to like making music this central part of your identity in your life.
I think that's so important because I mean, I know when I was younger, I just felt like my life was incomplete without music.
Mm.
And I tried to give it up when I had my first daughter because I thought that's what I should do. But when you feel like something's missing, you're not going to have fulfillment in your life. And how you get there, there are many paths. Like you said, I love that you're like, it could be that you do this one job over here so you have more time for music. And I've seen artists go through that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna become a massage therapist because then I can make my own hours and I can schedule it, around my gigs or, whatever that they're working on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really, really smart. And also just the idea that if you don't figure out a way how to fit music into your life, if you are a person that absolutely needs that, you're not going to feel fulfilled. So giving
Yeah,
them a lot of ideas, and it doesn't have to be a full-time path, it doesn't have to be a music industry path, all that stuff. I think just letting people know that they can have their own version of success is really important.
yeah. And I think that so many people have done what have quit and then been like, but I can't quit and
Mm.
come back. It's almost like, if you're not sure, go ahead and quit,
Mm.
because, give it 6 months and it'll come. If you're meant to be doing it, you'll be like, I gotta do it. So
Yep, yep. And I mean, even people who they stuck to their corporate career and they saw it through, but then the whole time they've been thinking or they've been doing stuff on the side and thinking, once I retire, I'm going to do this. Now, hopefully, you don't have to wait for that, but
yeah,
some people do. They have a very all-consuming job, but you can then go head first in once you're done,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So, is there anything else that we should talk about while we're here? Anything specific about the book that people need to know? It should be out by the time that we're doing this interview.
Yes, it should. I'll have it on Amazon. And yeah.
Why did you feel like you wanted to write a book? Because there's other ways you could deliver this message. You could do it through podcasts or things like that.
Yeah, I guess that's how I process is writing. Um,
Mm,
and I guess I don't know. I read a lot of books. I understand that some people don't. And so I'm definitely going to need to break things into bite-sized pieces and put that on social media in order for the kind of message to get across. But I guess I thought I had enough. I started, many years ago, I wrote a couple of the chapters, the like how to be a gigging musician, like a cover song musician. Like it's a step-by-step, very practical guide.
mm,
And then I started this being a sync licensing agent and thinking like there's a lot about this industry that I wish people understood because one of the things about sync licensing is it's very like hot right now. People talk
mm-hmm,
about it all the time. And there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of
mm,
charlatanism around it, like a lot of courses being sold, a lot of like master class, I'm a sync, I'll give you all the key to success and do this listening session for $200 and you'll get your song synced and just like taking advantage of people's dreams. And, sync licensing does have a lot of promise in there. You can get your song placed, but it's not a path to riches for most people. For some people, if you're a producer, if you can produce and sing and songwrite, it can be a really a lucrative path. But if like an average singer-songwriter, you make your album, it's more like a side hustle, like a side stream of income. And I just want to like w walk people through it to sort of clarify that. And so there is a sort of social justice-y aspect to that for me of like not wanting people to be hoodwinked because the
mm-hmm,
industry is really strapped for cash. Like you see like in LA all it's the productions are slower than usual. Like it's hard for music supervisors to get paid. It's hard for musicians to get paid a lot. There are some exceptions, particularly in advertising, but there's a lot of people trying to cobble together a living. And some of that is, oh, well, what can I do to get more money? Oh, I'll sell this thing and musicians will pay me. And musicians tend to just not have that much money. Like if
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And so I don't like the idea of people taking advantage of musicians. So that was part of it, wanting to do some real talk, some no BS, like this is what it's like. Yeah.
That's good. No, I'm really glad that you're doing that, and I think hearing it from a fellow musician that's been through it is the most important thing because they're not just like, oh, this is this high level, version of how we do things. Like I've been there. I've been through this. I know what the pitfalls are, and that's why I appreciate when people like you write books.
Thank you. I'm trying to tread the needle between, there's the people when you're young and you want to go become a musician and they're like, you can't do it. It's
Mhm.
unrealistic. Like, come on, be sensible. And you're like, what? That's really, you don't like that. But then on the other hand, there's people who are like, go for your dreams. You can be anything you want to be. As long as you have a positive mindset and manifest your goals, it's gonna work out. And it's like there's something realistic that lives between those two of like you're never going to succeed and you're of course going to succeed, you know?
Yep, no, and that's in the title of your book, balance. Got to
Mm,
balance between those two things.
yeah.
So, how can people find you online? How can people find the book? How can people connect with you on social media?
You can find me online. ElaineRyan.ca is my website. My Instagram is Elaine Ryan Music. And then on Instagram, the link in the bio is going to link to all the things you need to the book. But you can also just go on Amazon and search for Living a Music-Centered Life, and it'll pop up. Or search for Elaine Ryan, and it'll pop up.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Elaine. I'm so glad we got to talk today. I finally got to meet you in person after I've been playing your music for a long time. So,
Thank you.
thanks
And
for
thank you
thanks for
for
sharing everything with everybody today and writing the book for sure.
Thank you, and thank you for your support of the musician community for so long.